My sister was handed a brand new car, showered with love and praise while I was handed a rent bill, told I was nothing but a burden, unworthy of their care. For years, I carried the weight of rejection, struggling alone while they celebrated her every success. But life has a way of turning tables. 10 years later, the daughter they abandoned, the one they cast aside, now stands as the owner of a powerful empire. And when the very same parents who once humiliated me came crawling back for help, I gave them an answer so unforgettable, it shattered everything they thought they knew about family, loyalty, and regret. This isn't just a story of betrayal. It's the story of revenge, resilience, and a shocking twist that will leave you breathless. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave your comments. The house on Maplewood Lane always looked perfect from the outside. White shutters, trimmed hedges, a neatly painted mailbox with the word Clark etched in gold. Neighbors admired the Clark. David Clark was a respected businessman, often seen in a crisp suit as he left for work. Sharon Clark volunteered at local charities, always smiling for the community. Their eldest daughter, Samantha, was the golden child, the one who brought pride, the one who shone. But behind the polished facade of that two-story home, another story unfolded. Madison Clark was the youngest. Quiet, observant, often left standing in the shadows while her sister basked in the spotlight. From a young age, she noticed the difference. The subtle ways her parents' love tilted heavily toward Samantha. When Samantha came home with a report card, her parents clapped and displayed it on the refrigerator. When Madison brought hers, even with equally good grades, the response was lukewarm. "Good job," her mother would say distractedly while folding laundry. Her father barely looked up from his phone. At first, Madison convinced herself it was in her head. Maybe she wasn't as special. Maybe Samantha really deserved it more. But as the years passed, the favoritism became impossible to ignore. On Samantha's 10th birthday, she got a new pink bicycle with a ribbon tied around it. Madison, who was 8 at the time, clapped along, smiling shyly as Samantha squealed with joy. Madison's gift that year? A book of puzzles. It wasn't that Madison didn't appreciate the puzzles. It was that she longed for the sparkle of excitement her sister's gifts carried. The kind of love wrapped in shiny ribbons and celebrated with cheers. Her father often said, "Samantha's got potential. We have to nurture it." But what did that make Madison? The background character in her own home? At school, teachers praised Madison's essays, her creativity, her quiet brilliance. But at home, those achievements felt invisible. The Clark household revolved around Samantha's milestones, her dance recitals, her spelling bee wins, her sports medals. Madison was there too, clapping in the audience, taking photos, cheering louder than anyone else. But when it was her turn, her art fair, her science project presentation, her parents often didn't even show up. Madison learned something early on. In her family, love was conditional. By the time Madison reached high school, the gap widened. Samantha's room was redecorated twice, first with pastel pink walls, then later with a sleek modern design. Madison's room still had the faded wallpaper from when she was 6. At 16, Samantha got her learner's permit, and her parents began hinting about a car. Madison overheard them once at dinner. "She deserves it," Sharon said proudly. "She works so hard." Madison stabbed at her food quietly, biting back the thought. "I work hard too." Then came the night of Samantha's high school graduation. The Clark family hosted a grand celebration in their backyard. Strings of lights twinkled overhead, tables were piled with food, and guests poured in to congratulate Samantha. As the evening drew to a close, David Clark tapped a glass and announced, "We have a special gift for our shining star." He and Sharon led Samantha to the driveway. Madison followed, curious but uneasy. There it was, a shiny red Toyota sedan polished to perfection, a big bow on top. Samantha screamed in delight. "Oh my God! Thank you, thank you." She hugged her parents, tears of joy streaming down her face. The guests clapped. Cameras flashed. The moment was perfect. For Samantha. Then David turned to Madison, almost as an afterthought. He handed her a plain white envelope. "Here," he said casually. "Since you'll be 18 soon, it's time you start contributing." Madison opened the envelope, her heart pounding. Inside was a bill. Rent, for her own room in the house. The laughter and chatter around her faded into a blur. She stared at the paper, her chest tightening. Rent? Her parents had just gifted Samantha a car, freedom, pride. And for Madison, a debt. Her voice shook. You're making me pay rent. To live here? Her mother shrugged, her smile unwavering. It's time you learned responsibility. We can't keep carrying you forever. The humiliation burned deep. Guests glanced at her awkwardly before turning back to celebrate Samantha. No one seemed to notice the tears that welled in Madison's eyes. That night, alone in her room, Madison sat on her bed clutching the envelope. Her hands trembled with anger, sadness, betrayal. For the first time in her life, she whispered the words that would guide her future. One day, they'll regret this. Madison left home the week after graduation. With no money, no car, and nowhere to go, she crashed on a friend's couch. Days turned into weeks. She juggled 2 part-time jobs, waiting tables during the day, stocking shelves at night. Exhaustion became her closest companion. She skipped meals, stretched every dollar, and often fell asleep with her shoes still on. Her parents didn't call. Samantha posted photos online of her new car, her shopping trips, her perfect life. Each photo was a dagger, but Madison refused to break. Every rejection, every lonely night, every tear shed in the dark became fuel. 2 years later, Madison scraped together enough savings to rent a tiny studio apartment. It was barely larger than a closet, peeling paint, leaky faucet, but it was hers. She enrolled in night classes while working full-time. She studied business, marketing, anything that could help her climb higher. Failures hit hard. A side hustle she started selling handmade crafts collapsed within months. A part-time gig at a startup ended when the company folded, but Madison never quit. Every failure was a lesson. Every setback was a stepping stone. Her resilience hardened. She learned how to network, how to pitch ideas, how to read people. Slowly, doors began to open. At 25, she launched her own small online business. It was rough at first. Late nights, endless rejections, constant self-doubt. But this time something was different. Customers came back. Reviews spread. Sales grew. Madison poured her heart into it, working harder than ever before. By 28, her company had expanded nationally. By 30, it was international. Investors admired her grit. Employees respected her leadership. The girl who once had nothing now had everything, her own empire built from scratch. Madison thought she had buried her past. But the past has a way of finding you. It was a Tuesday morning when her secretary walked in. "Ms. Clark, there are 2 people here to see you. They say they're your parents." The words froze her. Parents. After 10 years of silence. Madison's stomach tightened, but her voice remained calm. "Send them in." The door opened and there they were. David and Sharon Clark. Their faces were lined, their posture slumped, their expensive clothes worn thin. For the first time in her life, Madison saw them not as towering figures of authority, but as fragile, desperate people. They smiled weakly. "Madison," Sharon whispered. "It's been so long." Madison leaned back in her chair, her expression unreadable. "Yes," she said coldly. 10 years. The silence in Madison's sleek glass office was deafening. Her parents sat across from her, not on thrones of power as they once did at home, but on the edge of leather chairs, shoulders slumped, eyes hollow. For years, Madison had imagined this moment. Sometimes she dreamed of yelling at them, screaming until her throat bled. Other times, she dreamed of turning her back and walking out, leaving them to feel the rejection they had forced on her. But now that the moment was real, she felt strangely calm. Her empire, her company, her wealth, her independence was proof enough. David cleared his throat first, his voice hoarse. Madison, we came because things have been difficult for us. Sharon leaned forward, wringing her hands. We've lost the business. The debts piled up. The house is mortgaged to the bank. And Samantha? Well, she hasn't exactly turned out the way we hoped. The name stung, but Madison forced no reaction. She had spent years training her face into stone. What happened to Samantha? She asked coolly. Sharon hesitated. She dropped out of college. Couldn't keep a steady job. She's been living with us, draining what little we had left. We tried to support her, but now you can't, Madison finished for her, her voice sharp. David swallowed hard. We need help. We know you're successful. We're proud of what you've built, Madison, truly. And we're asking if you could loan us some money, just to get back on our feet. Madison laughed softly, bitterly. Proud? That's rich. Tell me, where was that pride when I was working double shifts just to survive? Where was it when I was sleeping on a friend's couch, counting coins for food? Her mother's eyes filled with tears. We made mistakes. We see that now. Mistakes? Madison snapped, leaning forward. You called me a burden. You told me I wasn't worth your love. You gave Samantha everything, a car, gifts, endless praise, and handed me bills. Do you know how humiliating it was to open that envelope the night of her graduation? To see that while she was being celebrated, I was being punished? David's jaw tightened. We thought we were teaching you responsibility. No, Madison interrupted sharply. You weren't teaching me anything. You were crushing me. You wanted me to believe I wasn't worth investing in. But here's the irony. Your golden child failed, and the daughter you rejected built an empire. Sharon reached across the desk, her voice trembling. Please, Madison, we're your parents. We know we hurt you, but family forgives. Family helps each other. Madison pulled her hand back before the touch could land. Family, she echoed, her voice like steel. You only remember I'm family now, when you're broke. When I was starving, when I was alone, you didn't see me as family. You saw me as a problem. You chose Samantha. You made your choice. And now, you want me to clean up the mess? Her father's tone hardened, a shadow of the old authority he once wielded. Be careful, Madison. People will talk if they learn you let your own parents sink. Your reputation. Madison stood suddenly, towering over them. Her voice was sharp, unwavering. My reputation is mine. I built it without you. I owe you nothing. Her parents sat in stunned silence. Madison walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, the city skyline glowing behind her. She let the silence linger, heavy and suffocating. Then she turned, her eyes blazing. You once told me I wasn't worth the cost of raising. You pushed me into the shadows while you gave Samantha everything. You tried to bury me. But I climbed out of that grave and built something greater than you could ever imagine. She stepped closer, her voice dropping, deadly calm. So no, I won't give you money. I won't bail you out. You made your choices. Now you can live with the consequences. Her mother broke into sobs. Her father clenched his fists but said nothing, defeated. Madison pressed a button on her desk. Security will escort you out. 2 guards entered, standing tall behind her parents. David and Sharon rose slowly, their heads bowed, their pride shattered. As they were led out, Sharon looked back one last time. Madison, please, we're still your parents. But Madison didn't answer. She simply turned her chair back toward the window, watching the city she now owned in ways they could never grasp. Word spread quickly. The Clarks, once admired in their wealthy neighborhood, had fallen into ruin. Neighbors whispered about the debts, about Samantha's failures, about the favoritism that had led to their downfall. Samantha's tantrums and mistakes became public gossip. Her car was repossessed. Her friends drifted away. Meanwhile, Madison's empire soared higher. Magazine covers praised her as the woman who built herself. Investors lined up to work with her. Employees called her a visionary. Late at night, Madison sometimes thought of her parents, not with longing, not with love, but with a quiet, cold sense of closure. They had tried to break her. Instead, they had forged her, and as she stood in her penthouse, staring out over the glittering city lights, she whispered the words she had once promised herself the night she left home. One day, they'll regret it. And that day is today. If you liked my story, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with as many people as possible. Thanks for watching.